Ivan, the exhaust is coming out the front bumper on this Camaro.
I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
This is DIY Detail. This is a drag car. It is meant to go in a straight line very, very quickly. Has 850 turbocharged horsepower, and because of the turbocharger and routing issues, etc., they literally put the exhaust out the front corner. Very interesting. This car has 30,000 miles on it, many of them quarter mile at a time.
Well, the good news is, all those things being true, our principles of how to wash and polish and protect this vehicle, they're the same.
Remain the same, definitely. We're going to be doing what some people will call old school, and that is polishing this with a rotary. And it's going to end up being glossy and protected because we're going to add our 8-year ceramic coating on top.
Ivan, I feel like if it's a Camaro, we got to bust out the rotary.
Exactly. That's what we're going to be doing. So follow along. Let's go.
Notice you won't see Ivan using our all-purpose cleaner, All Clean, on these wheels.
No, the rear wheels with the Mickey Thompson drag slicks are polished aluminum, and you don't want anything acidic or caustic on polished aluminum, meaning that the All Clean, even at 15:1, could potentially dull the wheels. So we're not going to go there at all.
Now these front wheels are chrome. Those are okay to have All Clean on them, but yeah, we're going to really baby this aluminum.
And this car just has dust on it, so. People accuse us of cleaning clean cars. Well, they're right this time.
Yeah, but this is a cool car to clean. Like, I think any detailer would enjoy this.
Oh, definitely. You know, the F-bodies were always a fun car. I had many of them myself, so. But none with this much horsepower.
They say this is a clean car. Look at that, guys. See that? Boom. You know what's beautiful about a rinseless wash? Take this. Simply dunk it. No grit guard involved.
Comes out
voila. It's clean. How is that even possible, Ivan?
Science.
Science, my dear sir.
Science, technology. The sponge has a little to do with it. The rinseless wash has a lot to do with it.
People are loving the rinseless wash so far. And it's like, why wouldn't they, you know? You've been the rinseless wash guy for years. We're not messing around.
No. So removing the dust, we'll be decontaminating this vehicle in short order with our perforated synthetic decontamination towel.
I love the back with the black and the red.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt that it's our colors, Ivan.
Exactly.
Black and red sponge, black and red floors, black and red logo, black and red Camaro. Let's go. I feel like I'm ready to go racing.
Well, this vehicle would be a good one to do so.
How do you feel like the owner would react if he saw us not using a hose washing this car?
He's watched a lot of our videos, so I'm sure he's okay with it.
We're starting to build up quite the fan club in Omaha. So I've got this whole chunk of the car done.
Just had the side of the hood to do, and then off we go with the decontamination towel.
Now, oftentimes folks are gonna think, well, you use the iron remover as your lubrication, right? For the decontamination towel step.
Yeah.
Why is that not happening today?
Because we don't want to rinse this car. It has a few issues with seals that we don't want to risk, so.
We would flush the paint with water after using iron remover is what you mean.
Right. Now this sail panel is afflicted with the same thing as most Camaros and Firebirds of this generation. Little glue blobs coming through. Ooh, this back window is very contaminated. But the rinseless wash is giving us all the lubrication we need.
Yeah, there's a lot to work with here, guys. Out of direct sunlight, this rinseless wash is gonna continue to dwell and not dry on you. If you get the rinseless wash drying on you, if you took a long time in the wash stage, just go ahead and spray more rinseless on the surface. Redunk your towel in your bucket of rinseless more often, right? There's ways to keep that lubrication working for you, reactivating it on the paint, it's all there still for you anyway. Flip the towel once every panel or so. I mean, it's very clean paint here and we're applying no pressure, so this is a safe process. We feel a little grit here.
Yeah, there's the odd section that has a bit of grit.
Always smart to decontaminate before polishing.
Yes. So you want to decontaminate before polishing for a couple of reasons. First of all, it makes the polishing easier. Secondly, if you don't decontaminate before polishing, well, it's still going to feel gritty when you're done polishing. Polishing does not remove all the contamination. And finally, it really gums up your pads very quickly.
Yes. That's something you can listen to Ivan on, or you could learn from experience, but either way, it will be true. Some people just like to make their own mistakes in life, Ivan. They don't want to listen to you.
Well, that's fine. They're not necessarily mistakes, it's just we try to make your lives a little easier.
Yep. I've been victim of that a couple times where I'm like, I've been doing this for years. I know better than you. But then sometimes I'm like, wow, 40 years is longer than 6 or 7 years, you know? And it's like, all right, take my slice of humble pie and you just, you know, day by day, folks, day by day. It's amazing how the rinseless is still on the surface. It hasn't dried up at all.
Yeah. Now, how many of you out there have owned cars with a T-top? And what car was it? You know, back in the 70s and 80s, T-tops were available on many, many different cars. I think this was one of the last vehicles available with a T-top.
So the rise and the fall of the T-top, I mean, on principle, okay, it's cool.
Yeah.
Take them out, get some sun.
Yep.
Why did they die off?
Because they leak.
Okay.
They rattle, they do all sorts of nasty things. But when you have the T-tops off, the windows down, cruising with the tunes.
This was the perfect candidate for just a rinseless wash, decon towel step.
Exactly.
Oftentimes it's like, let's get the iron remover out, let's do 10 steps, and the minimal approach is exactly what this one needed.
Yep. Now, I purposely left the rear bumper till last because of those drag radials there, the Mickey Thompsons. There's a chance that there might be some accumulation here. Oh, actually, no, not at all. Surprised. So the owner cleans it off after those quarter-mile runs. And since we're going to be polishing, we'll dry the vehicle off, but we don't have to be very particular about the drying. We're not worried about blowing out all the cracks and everything because A, we didn't use that much water, but B, the time we polish, it'll have time to dry off.
It's in great shape, Ivan.
It is.
Sometimes I have to just spend a little time with the car and start to understand it by touching it and washing it, and then you come to appreciate it because you see so many different vehicles in different condition, and when you know the mileage of something in the year and you feel how clean it is, you're like, man, there's a respect there, I think.
Yeah. And the owner of this car definitely maintains it well. It's a toy, obviously, it's not his daily driver. A lot of sweat equity invested in this, so we're gonna make it shine even more. And Nick, do you see any marring from the towel?
None at all.
No.
No.
Those of you that are concerned about the decontamination towel marring your paint, don't be. It really comes down to It's designed for this, A. B, the lubrication provided by the Rinseless wash is excellent, and we're never applying pressure to the towel. And the decontamination towel, unlike clay, is not an abrasive. Dries up beautifully. Can't wait to put a polisher on this paint.
Oh my goodness. I see some minor surface level scratches that we may or may not be going after. I mean, this isn't about perfect paint. See, now that it's clean under the light, I see swirls and stuff, but we're just going for gloss here.
We're going for gloss and we're going for preservation.
Absolutely.
You know, this is the original paint. It's lasted this long. We don't want to be doing anything to this paint to damage it. We don't want to be removing an excessive amount of paint by doing a two-stage cut and buff and wet sanding and all that. Sure, it would be fun to have the car perfect with wet sanding and all that, but in reality, we'd actually be damaging the vehicle.
If the owner asked for it and you had that conversation with them and they still said go ahead, okay. Right?
Yeah, it's their choice, but we know he intends on keeping this still for a number of years, so. And these are starting to be somewhat collectible, meaning the value is going up.
Especially with only how many miles?
A little over 30,000 miles. So now the wash buckets can move out of the way and the polishing buckets come in.
Ivan, this original Camaro paint looks phenomenal.
Right?
I do see some scratches in there, but again, it's original, so we're not going for perfection here.
No, we're going for preservation and protection. Plus, we're gonna amp up the gloss, obviously.
Preservation plus protection.
Yeah.
A beautiful 3P alliteration statement from Ivan. Let's get going.
Before we go and do the whole car this way, I'm just gonna verify our results here on our test spots.
Rinseless wash, dampened towel for the initial polishing wipe off.
Yeah, and then a nice dry towel to follow through. Definitely stepped up the gloss.
Smile.
Yeah.
See you
Yeah. So by eye, we can definitely see a difference.
At least a 25% gloss amplification with no scientific number behind that.
Right.
I'm just eyeballing it and it's like,
yeah.
This looks really nice. It was already nice. This is like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to put it into words, but it's glossier.
It's glossier, it's richer is the term. And excellent. Let's continue on with this. So one of the reasons we chose the rotary to do this vehicle is there's not a lot of defects to remove, and the rotary for me is the best finishing tool. It's gonna amp up the gloss dramatically. This soft waffle pad really follows the contour. So you see I wasn't putting any pressure on the machine, and it basically gets all of this curve. And this is a very curvaceous vehicle. There's not a lot of flat areas on this. So with this, the pad will follow the curves better, and we get a much better finish, and there's gonna be no micro marring. And that is the bane of black paint, is micro marring. It makes it look gray. And with the rotary, you don't get that micro marring.
Talk about the pattern of the polisher pad on the paint, what you're looking for and what it's telling you.
Right, so I'm looking for a nice even finish. If it feels jumpy, if it looks jumpy, then you're not gonna have a nice finish. But now we've got a very even finish here. Let me just do a quick pass so you can see. So no pressure whatsoever on the machine. And those that think that the rotary is very difficult to control, Here I am over a curve, a body line, and I just have 2 fingers on the machine. The deep waffle that we have also allows you to go over emblems like this, and it literally polishes all around the emblem. Because of the deep fingers on the waffle, it's actually getting in all of this. So doing a better job than you could with any other polisher.
This pad on a rotary is absolute genius, and I hope people understand how amazing it is. It's my favorite pad that we have.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is my favorite way to polish because I'm not worried about insane defect removal. I just focus on clean, no pressure, flat pad passes.
Yeah.
I want to go 2 or 3 times back and forth. Just evenly distribute that polish across the vehicle, wipe it down, get the gloss, and move on.
Exactly. And we're not removing paint. We're not damaging the vehicle. We're literally just giving a gloss, removing the oxidation. So, off to polishing. When you're removing polish residue, be careful with your choice of towels. I have a higher nap terry weave and I have a low nap terry weave on this towel. I want to use the low nap side because the lower the nap, the less pressure I have to exert on the towel to get it to clean off the polish residue. So as you can see with this pearl weave towel, I'm just barely touching the surface. The polish residue is coming off easily, and then I follow it with the dry towel, and we have a nice, glossy, polished surface. Next up, panel prep.
Got to panel prep the vehicle before you coat it. This step is crucial.
Exactly. So, some panel prep on the low nap pearl weave towel. And on a black vehicle, you can see it quite easily. So we apply the panel prep to the surface with the one towel, and then before it evaporates away, we take the other towel, and there we go.
What do you think about this technique, Ivan? The double swirl.
You can.
I feel like I'm doing something important with my life. It flashes on, boom. That way I'm not leaving any residue on the surface.
Yeah, exactly. So the whole goal of the panel prep is to lift any potential polishing residue off the surface. Making sure we have clean, pristine, polished paint ready to accept the ceramic coating.
The only thing we want on this paint is nothing.
Exactly.
Before the coating, right? We don't want anything getting in between the coating and the clear coat. And that is going to be crucial for longevity and performance.
Exactly. It's going to make the coating perform better, last longer, look better, and ensures a good quality finish. And plus, the panel prep, what it does, it gives us a last chance to wipe everything down, making sure we've removed all the polish residue and anything that could be left on the paint.
It's an insurance step for sure.
Yeah. But very inexpensive insurance. This is insurance that you get something out of without having to have a disaster. Like any good recipe, when you actually follow the recipe, the cake turns out the way it's supposed to.
Unless you're an artist and a genius and then you improvise and you eyeball it and it's better than the recipe. No.
In this case, follow the recipe.
Exactly.
And after a panel or two, flip your towel. Now we know with the gold standard polish, which is what was used here, there's no polishing residues left, there's no oils, there's no silicones, there's no fillers in it. So we have a very good foundation to build our coating on. But if you're not sure what's in your polish, then this becomes a very, very necessary step.
Ivan, I can't see you, but I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Why did we choose 8-year on this particular vehicle?
Well, it's already very glossy, so we don't need the little extra gloss that the 5-year can give us. This car does not go out in the rain and only gets lovingly hand washed. So we don't need the water spot protection of the 3-year with the graphene, but the owner intends on keeping it a very long time. And since the goal of this detail is preservation, that's where the 8-year really shines.
That makes sense. And ultimately, it's what the customer wants, right? You give them a conversation, here's what we have to offer,
Yeah.
here are the benefits, and then help them make the best decision for them.
Exactly.
It's not your vehicle, right? So you may have a different opinion. But in this case, sounds like you both came to a good conclusion that you think is the right one.
Yeah. And like I said, we know that this vehicle, we can tell it's been lovingly maintained for the last 20-some years. And with the coating on it, it's just gonna make it easier for him to maintain.
So let's say someone leaves polish residue on the paint. They don't use panel prep. What are they gonna see out of the ceramic coating?
They're gonna see a blotchy area. It's very hard to wipe off. They're not gonna have a fun day. So you wanna be very careful in that polish removal step or polish residue removal step to make sure you get absolutely everywhere. And like we said before, this is just a great insurance step to that.
So don't do the willy-nilly polish removal step and expect panel prep to save you.
No.
Be meticulous in both steps.
Exactly.
Treat this more like insurance. Treat the polish removal with the rinseless dampened towel, and then your other towel is dry to follow up. Treat that like, hey, I'm gonna coat after this.
Yeah.
As if it were that serious. I mean, obviously, be as light and fun as you want, but I'm talking about if you're the owner of this Camaro, you're serious about doing this right.
Yeah. If you look at the engine in this car, you can tell he's very serious. And dedicated to going fast in a straight line.
Exactly. It goes faster when it's clean, right? When it's coated and shiny.
Well, you know, it's a common thing, common knowledge that a clean, shiny car gains at least 50 horsepower.
Yeah, that's science.
Yeah. Now, if you have racing stripes, you know, there's another 75 horsepower. He doesn't have the racing stripes yet, but one day they may come. Don't be afraid to get your panel prep into little cracks and crevices like around these lights, just to make sure. Panel gaps in the 80s were not what they are today. They were more like panel canyons.
Oh, were they really?
Well, look at these panel gaps. Like,
well, I just assumed that was the style then.
no. You know, when you have a panel gap that's 1/4 inch on one end, 5/16 on the other, they're serious about panel gaps.
Exactly. Looks like it.
The bigger the better, which isn't necessarily the case, but it was the early 2000s. Before the big 2008 crash in the automotive world, so.